Well, hello everyone. It's like you here show you what you call is like the you say kind of school memory. You say coloring activity right here. Is for color twisters is it's talking about it's like fourth grade pen it is. But anyway, most of us, if most of us remember, it's like memories from like the second and third and fourth and fifth grade it is, along with the sixth and seventh grade it is. Maybe if you can even remember memories from whenever you come into school and knowing about that you got a homework assignment due. And I remember that whenever I was in school it was that first because I guess that depends on wherever school you're going to, but I can remember a couple of times that I would walk into class. I think because I can remember that even in elementary school it was over. I think it was at Cosley Elementary. Of course, this memory right here takes place, of course, in Becky David Elementary School. It was at it's like it was in the fourth grade. It was. I'm pretty sure it was in the fourth grade because, of course, this is a different classroom from when I was in the third grade. It was, but anyway, that I can remember that that the teachers that we were talking about tornadoes. It was tornadoes and twisters. It is about how they touch down on the ground, how much damage that they cause and stuff, and with most of us, if we've seen from like what you call is like the other videos I posted about tornadoes is like talking about is like with the storms, say storm warning, and of course that it's like weather A it is, but anyway that you see right here is I went ahead and drew the details right here at the classroom it is, but back then though that of course that would have been fourth grade. That would have been about 1993 and 1994 or something like that. I'm really not good on the years really, but I would say I would take a best guess it would be about 1994 it was. And of course that was before that we even knew about DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that, and of course with Android iPhone 5s or anything like that. But you're probably thinking about that, yeah. Even if there were technology like that back then, more likely I'm sure that maybe kids would probably be bringing them to school. It's like knowing about it kind of surprises me knowing about that some of the toys that they have in the stores nowadays, that knowing about is like if kids have gotten in trouble about bringing some of that to school it was, and knowing about that hey Mrs. Sasha, I can tell the time now. But as knowing about it is like other than a watch, you say a watch that needs a new battery, there could be maybe something that uses the hand crank, say where you can charge up the battery by hand winding crank handle it is where it charges up the battery, but or if it shakes or something like that. But other than that, let's talk about with fourth grade pen. As I can remember that walking into the classroom, it was one time, and I told the teacher that whenever we were talking about tornadoes and twisters and stuff, and just knowing about that we were talking about them, and I told her that there was a video from home that I can bring show to class, and she was like, well, that's fine, go ahead and bring it. And then I can remember that I can still remember a little bit of that, even if I do remember, I still thinking about that. I don't want to be reminded. I used to hold my fist like I don't want to be reminded because she would ask me. I remember whenever we were walking into class, she had the VCR, and they would have a TV and VCR that they would bring into the classroom, like on a rolling cart, kind of like this right here. Of course, they did not have anything set up on like a projector screen that they would have, like I say, a big, not a flat screen, of course. A lot of that stuff that we see nowadays, they didn't have that back in say early 94, 95. If anything, it was only for like what you call business reasons or something. But other than that, it would be like a TV, kind of like this right here. Is that the TV would be about right here, and then of course the VCR would be about right here, and then it would be on a wheelie cart. It is, I think. See, wherever they brought them from, I don't know if it was from the library. I remember the schools I went to back then that they would either bring them from the lab or the library or wherever. That I can remember that they only had about maybe 15 TVs and VCRs set up like that all together in the whole school building it was. And so if I can remember right, the teachers had to request one at times, and of course whenever I was going to see that, not the Henderson, but whenever I was going to Fairmont Elementary, I remember I would bring in movies, cartoon movies into school, and the teacher would say it's okay to show that. And I can remember that even other students in the classroom, if it was say the fourth grade, it was that you say talk about these memories here. I know I'm like, yeah, think about it, I can't remember the teacher, but I remember to say it's the fourth grade, and if I can remember right, it may have been the fifth grade. This story may have been the fifth grade, whatever it is, but between fourth and fifth grade it is that because I can remember that it's like it was Richards. It's like Miss Richards to say was. And say, well, I think she was my fourth grade teacher, and of course, I had somebody else, but try to remember, these teachers' names it is, but just knowing about that, what we were doing, at the time it was, and then I can remember that, the different, the kids would bring, movies, to school and just want to know, you all want to watch that or something like that. But other than that, is talking about with fourth grade pen, it is that. It's like you got the killer, say Twisters is what it looks like, and some people probably say it looks like a tail, say go ahead and right, it looks like a tail, dangling from the sky. And really, it's like write this in my own words. It's just knowing about it looks like a tail dangling from the sky. And people probably thinking about that yeah, well, compared to what you read in the book, and then compared to, you say, if you were to write your own, say, essay, assignment, or something like that on paper, it is, and just knowing about that, what do you think that you would write about? It's like, yeah, like me, like the rotation. See the rotation it is. It's like the rotation right here. And some teachers like, you're not supposed to draw on the paper, okay? You're supposed to explain. It's like in words. It is. It's knowing about. It's like the rotation, and of course your wind speed. If it's wind speed, it is, and of course don't have a whole lot of time really to speed. Don't have to be able to write a whole lot, but anyway, that's a lot of times that they would want you to write maybe a paper too about what you would talk about in the classroom. It was, but I remember that they would have tornado drill exercises, and then they would have you go up against the wall. It is, and then put your head up. It's like put your hands over your head, and then lean up against the wall. It's like they would do like tornado drills, and half the time I was like wondering the teachers would not even be doing the same thing, and just like, hey, how come you're not lean up against the wall? It was, I don't think I've ever asked the teachers that, but if I can remember right, that I was like wondering in my mind, how come they're not practicing this exercise? But anyway, that with fourth grade pen here, it's like, of course, it came up the title for fourth grade pen is knowing about if we were to think about bringing anything to school, just like the movie or the video which what I had brought from home was called Killer Twisters. It was, and people would watch it. And I can remember that of course coming in from recess time, and I remember that she had a TV set up and all that stuff, and she would be playing it and showing it in the class. And I remember that I watched that movie. I watched the video at least 10 times at home, and then I was like thinking about that. This is a good video. And then whenever I told the teacher about it, that I think this will be a neat thing to bring to school one of these days and show the class. And I could probably say that I kept going to the teacher's desk asking her, I feel real warm, or has something like, hey, teacher. And I even asked her if I had pneumonia. It's like if I had a real bad cold or anything like that. And she's like, no, you don't. Like, and she opened some windows. I told her I felt a little warm or whatever. But on the other hand, too, that I was like that during the time I was in class, just like anybody, if anybody were to bring anything from home for show and tell to show the class, it is, if it's a pen or if it's what you call a glow-in-the-dark crayon, whatever it is. A lot of people would probably think about that. I, got pretty nervous while, bringing something from home, and then the class was watching and stuff, because I was thinking at first that anything that you learn in school is really totally different from what you learn from what you see at home. It is because whenever you're at home, that more like you're not going to think about really too much homework. It is, and you're not going to think about too much about the fact about yeah, well, you got an assignment due next week or anything. But I can remember each year that I would go to school, it was just knowing about it. It's like talking about, it's like besides the room numbers, it is cycle breaking stuff. But I can remember walking into the classrooms that from the second and third and fourth grade, it was in fifth grade, it was in sixth and seventh and eighth, that a lot of times that you would see different things in the classroom, such as a new globe or new schedule, new attendance schedule, activity schedule, whatever it is that you may see in the classroom. It is. Those memories can go on, but then of course, to get everybody, if anybody were to have any problems about knowing about, it's like, if you wanted to, maybe teach your grandkids or your cousins or something like that, teach them anything about, to say, good education, it would be, is maybe thinking about, it's like, for the fourth grade pen, it is knowing about, what ideas to start out with. And of course, these ideas right here is that, besides the ABCs and knowing about, it's like with the TVs that they had in the classrooms, and then of course the playground equipment that you remember seeing and all that other stuff. But on the other hand too, that knowing about is like whenever you're in school, I'm sure a lot of parents are pretty worried about the fact about if their kids are going to be at school during the bad weather. It is knowing about how safe they are. And I'll probably think about the thing that most of the buildings classrooms I went to, that they had real sturdy concreted walls. It was, so it's like they're pretty sturdy. But anyway, as talking about, it was like with the video of Killer Twisters, it was like about the scientist. It was, if I remember right, it was a science project. It was, and just knowing about that hey, that you go after the knowing how strong the winds are picking up and stuff. But anyway, that you could probably think about that. There's always, would you say, seems like there's always an idea for really about what you want to start out with, and more likely people are thinking about that really, knowing about maybe that something else came up, whatever it is, that I don't want to write anymore, whatever it is. But on the other hand too, that I don't have time to explain a whole lot. But on the other hand too, that knowing about, with people probably think about, at least I have time to at least talk a little bit, just to get a good start of it. But other than that, I was talking about with fourth grade pen right here, is for fourth grade pen, with it suggest to anybody, is knowing about that if you're going to maybe bring anything from home, it's like knowing about that yeah, this reminds me of writing utensil. It is like, especially on the computers, it's like on the computers, they say this is a chalkboard right here. And I can remember that on the school morning, it is, you hear the teacher going on the chalkboard. And then that noise, like with the chalk too, sometimes the chalk will go but other than that, knowing about, it's like, hey, good morning, class. Good morning, class. And then knowing by, today that we are going to be reading the report, you say, so as I thought about it with the STEM, flower, research, or it's like, today that we are going to be working on chapter 13. It's like talking about, it's like, the study, say, of the polar bears, or if it's the grizzly bear, it's like, or if it's something related to the panda bears. He's like, if I remember right, there was a science project, I think in 7th grade, is we would study about the panda bears and stuff like that. But other than that, it's talking about, it's like, good morning, class. Like, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But knowing about this, I can remember whenever I was in school, is knowing about that. If you were to bring anything to school, like, I can turn it off. We're in class. You need to turn that off. You need to turn it off. We're in class. Like, you need to turn it off, mister. Or, you need to turn it off, man. Like, Miss Esbit, you need to turn it off. Like, yeah, well, do I need to turn the watch off because on the other hand too, that like like, well, there's a clock up on the wall. There's a clock up on the wall. But other than that, it's talking about keep track of time. It's talking about, like we say, is with the fourth grade pen, is knowing about with like this, like and with all the students of this, all the students would probably say about that we need really something to write with, don't we? It's like for say talk about. It's like for say it's like for the fourth grade pen, you say coloring.